Most XRP millionaires do not lose their money in a crash. They lose it while the XRP price is going up, and they hand it over themselves. Coinbase put it in writing for the SEC, America's market police, in 2020. $14 of XRP changed hands there for every $1 left standing at year's end. Nothing fell over in that year. The coin simply kept moving to somebody else, under the man who bought early enough that was not the man holding them at the end. This is your XRP news desk. That is how a fortune usually goes. Not a fall, a handover. So take 5,000 XRP as our example. I am using around $1 for the math, and XRP is $1 as I record this on August 11th. So call it $5,000. Then I'll walk you through the 4 ways it leaves a man, each on a dated page. Before this is done, you'll know the single thing all 4 have in common, the 2 figures underneath. On Coinbase's own filing with the SEC, $17 billion of XRP traded that year, against $1.2 billion still parked there when it ended. Those measure different things. Trading counts the same coin every time it moves, so nothing evaporated. The gap is the turnover. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell if you want more XRP news, and tap the hype button on the way past. Way 1 is the quietest because nobody inside it thinks he's making a mistake. They sell while it's going up. Green feels like a gift, and a gift feels like something a sensible man takes. I want to show you what that habit costs the last time XRP genuinely ran, not with my figures, with Ripple's own. Ripple published this back in January of 2018, and I think it is the most expensive page in this niche. Measured against the same point a year earlier, the XRP price was up 29,600%, close to 297 times what you put in, inside of 12 months. Now split that year in 2. The final 3 months on their own were up 887%. Call that 10 times over in 1 quarter, which leaves the first 9 months at roughly 30 times. So picture the man who sold at the end of September was up 30x. He was not stupid, he was rich, and he had every reason to feel clever. And the 3 months he skipped were worth 10 times everything he walked away with. Now, the line further down, Ripple's own market report, which nobody quotes, and it is the number I keep coming back to. In those 3 months, XRP changed hands at $807 million a day against $2.2 million a day the year before. That is not excitement. That is a cue at the exit door, counted by Ripple itself. Way 2 is faster, and it takes people who were completely right. On October 10, 2025, more than $19 billion of positions were closed out by force in a single day. Between 85 and 90% of them were bets that price were going up. So people were not wrong about the direction. They were wrong about borrowing. And closed out by force is a polite phrase for it. So I'll use the blunt one. Somebody else sold your coins for you at the worst price of the day and never asked first. That is the trade a borrowed stack makes. You keep the upside on paper and you rent out the one decision that matters, and the landlord picks the moment. Hold on, because XRP printed that moment in public on the day you can go and read. XRP fell to $1.64 in that session and was back near $2.36 before the day was out. The price round tripped. The position did not. A man who owned XRP outright woke up owning the same amount of XRP he went to bed with. A man who owned it on borrowed money woke up owning none of it on the day the XRP price finished where it started. That is way 2 in 1 sentence. Nobody can sell coins out from under you that nobody lent you. You have 2 of the 4 now, so give me your call. Which takes more XRP off people in 10 years? Greed or borrowing? Let me know in the comments. Tap the like, subscribe, and notification bell while you're down there. Way 3 is the one I would least like to explain to my own family, because the people it takes from never sold at all. FTX was one of the biggest places in the world to buy crypto, and it filed for bankruptcy protection on November 11th, 2022. That date is the trap. Every customer claim was frozen at what the coins were that day in dollars, not what they became. The block put damage into figures in March of 2025. XRP is up about 450% since that date, and not 1 point of it belonged to the customer. What he was owed was a dollar number from 2022, and before you assume this story was about money that vanished, it is not. The money was genuinely arriving, and that is the cruelest part. The FTX Recovery Trust paid a third round in September of 2025, and the smallest accounts were collecting 120% of what they were owed. That sounds like a win, and in dollars, I suppose it is. It is a win of the wrong number. He gets a fifth more of the 2022 price, 3 years late, while the coins he thought were his went up more than 5 times without him. He never pressed sell. He lost them anyway, because they were never in his hands. They were a line on somebody else's books, and a line on somebody else's books is a promise, not a coin. Way 4 is the only one where the holder does nothing wrong except turn up with a perfect plan. On December 22nd, 2020, the SEC sued Ripple and 2 of the men who built it, Chris Larsen and Brad Garlinghouse, over $1.3 billion of XRP sales. Strip the legal wording off it, and it says this: you sold XRP the way a business sells shares in itself, and you never registered it. That case became known as SEC v. Ripple. Here is what most people missed. It is a complaint, and a complaint is an accusation, not a verdict. Nothing had been decided, nothing had been proved, and no judge had ever ruled. Every XRP holder alive learned it from a headline, at speed with no idea what it meant. And a man with no plan does not decide in a moment like that. The moment decides for him. That is what a plan really is. Not a price target, but a sentence you wrote down while you were calm. So a stranger's headline cannot write one for you. 6 days later, Coinbase turned the sell button off. Trading in XRP would stop on January 19, 2021. Now read the second half of the same sentence, because I doubt many people did that week. Deposits and withdrawals stayed open the whole time. Trading stopped. Ownership never did. The panic was about a button, and the crowd could not tell the button from the thing it owned. And here is what actually finished. 5 years later, when almost nobody was watching. In August 2025, both sides dropped their appeals, and a law professor wrote up what it meant. Judge Annalisa Torres, July 2023, ruling now stands as final. Ripple was still standing. The headline took 5 minutes to read. The answer took nearly 5 years to arrive. Nobody who sold in December of 2020 was answering a question that had no answer yet. And he sold to someone who kept reading. That somebody is still holding, with the case closed in his favor. So here is the answer I owe you in one sentence. XRP millionaires do not go broke because XRP fails. They go broke because in all 4 cases, the coins finished somewhere other than in their own hands, sold while it was going up, pledged for borrowed money, parked in somebody else's books, or handed to a headline. That is the single thing all 4 have in common, and not one of them needs a crash. Take our 5,000 XRP back out. At around $1, that is $5,000. At around $5, it's $25,000. And not one of these 4 ways cares which of those numbers is true. Everyone opens at any price, and not one can reach a man who does not walk through it. That is the whole edge of a man still standing, and I think it is duller than anybody wants it to be. He was never smarter than the crowd about the XRP price. He was just harder to separate from his own coins. And when the most frightening headline of his life landed on his phone, he did the hardest thing available, nothing at all. Tomorrow, I'm counting how little XRP is parked on Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance. The same question, one level up. You never had to be early. You only had to still be holding. Like, comment, subscribe for tomorrow's count. Hit the bell, stack facts, not fear, and I'll see you in the next video.